All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on? Paraby, Jordan, Luis, Mr. Mike's daddy, put me in coach, wins a lot, Brock, Brandy, William, Jake, Trisket. Hope everybody doing well. Yeah, right there. Lame last day of the trade deadline. It is officially over, so you do not have to worry about any more chaos. Rio, any final thoughts on the trade deadline for you? Any moves you absolutely love from people? I know we talked about your Jazz on Tuesday, but anything after that you want to talk about or discuss?
No, nothing really that moved the needle today, I don't think. I like the pickup for the Hawks getting Kuminga, though. I think that'll be good for they're going to have an insanely athletic duo between him and Jalen Johnson, so I'll be interested to see how that works out. I actually think that he'll fit in pretty nicely with that style of offense, so that's probably the one that I like the most, but there wasn't really a ton today that stood out. All the bigger ones kind of got done earlier. Yeah, I'm just kind of looking through. Oh, the Matherin and Zubac one was big. I don't really understand that for the Clippers personally, but
yeah. Alvarado to the Knicks.
I like that one. He's going back home, so that'll be fun.
No, yeah, I thought that was good too. Not great for Kolek, but yeah. Jordan, did he have a big night yesterday?
I think just people in our Discord did. We had a bunch of people ship satellites and. Showdown was really good. I think a couple people got first place in Showdown. So just all around, this week has been pretty good for Ship It.
I saw Brittany. Shout out to Brittany winning. I think it was like 5,500. Woke up to a shipper. Shout out to her. I don't see too much else. DFS Whispers in here. D Gilbert in here. Juice. Appreciate everyone hanging out. Whispers again. All we ask, like button, subscribe button. Helps us out a ton. A lot of people sweating their golf teams, me included over here. What a chaotic day one so far at Waste Management. Still do have a lot of showdown, though. No one's ever dead on day one, but if you're not looking too hot or if you're looking great, PGA Showdown is very fun. We do have the Stone, Slate plan, projections, ownership for that as well. Good prizes as well. So recommend getting in. Not only PGA Showdown, of course, NBA going, NHL going. Next thing you know, or MMA too, on Saturday, me and Big Marley will be live tonight talking some fights, 8:45 Eastern. Then NFL, of course, Super Bowl Sunday, Rio's Patriots taking on the Seahawks. Monster prizes. I think the best time to get in would be right now using the code, or you don't even need the code SHIP19. If you just go to Join the Nation, shipthenation.com, Join the Nation, you will see a daily pass for $9, includes everything except the Discord. But for $10 extra, you get 5 days, $19, SaberSim and Discord and all of our content brings you into the Super Bowl. I think that's the best time to join. Get multiple sports, like I said, NFL, NBA, PGA Showdown, MMA, and NHL, all for the low price of $19. We would love to have you for sure. PGA MMA, the best sweat. I agree. I think MMA for sure. I haven't really had PGA sweats. Don't play as many tournaments. MMA is definitely my favorite. Rio, what's your favorite sweat?
Yeah, probably MMA. I think the worst is probably NBA.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I think NBA is the stone cold worst. I don't even think it's close. At least baseball, like you're never safe, but you at least know what you're cheering for. Like if you're 11 out and you need the guy to hit a homer, you're fading this and that. It's a lot easier. NBA is just impossible. Like it's super hard to really know where you're at until. Oh yeah, with NASCAR, you're right. I mean, NASCAR might be one of the worst. I remember I was up 200,000 back in the COVID time during Daytona, the final lap, and I think I lost like $900. Obviously, it was Daytona, the big one, but yeah, screw that. Not a fan of the NASCAR sweat. No way, worst sweat is NASCAR. All right, fair enough. I did forget that. 4 days, yep. And then we got this, Ryan Cox, his favorite's NASCAR. I love it. Everybody's different. Title might need a root for the Steelers with Big Mike and all that. I hate Big Mike. Big Mike is cheek, so I'm definitely never going to root for Big Mike. I will say, though, if Rodgers is the quarterback, I'll always be rooting for them. But No, I think I'm not really sure what the Steelers are doing. Mike McCarthy is one of the bigger donkeys out there in the NFL. So, hey, if you're a Steelers fan, I feel sorry for you. He is definitely not better than Tomlin. I got off track, though. Any initial thoughts? 6 games on tap, 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. Eastern start time, 1.5 hour window, 8:30. And then there is 2 late games, a night slate and a showdown, 10 Eastern games. But FanDuel, DraftKings, 6 games on tap. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the slate feels very similar to the one that we've seen the last couple of days. We have one team that's kind of dominating all the value in Chicago tonight. So I would say that they kind of profile similarly to OKC last night. They might have 9 guys tonight. It depends on the availability of Colin Sexton. He's questionable right now. Obviously, just got traded there. Usually takes a couple days for the trade to go through, so he might miss. But they did bring up Mac McClung, so they'll pretty much have 7 guys that you can roster if Sexton does miss. So you're definitely going to want to get into that game a lot. Yeah, other than that, pretty normal, kind of straightforward slate. Jazz could be another team that provides some value, but yeah, just a couple Q tags that could kind of shake things up a little bit.
I agree with you though, Jake. All DFS sweats are great because if you're sweating something, that means, I mean, you're sweating all the money. You're sweating first place, so it's always a fun position to be there. NBA, my least favorite sport, but favorite sport, if that makes sense. I don't know exactly what you're saying, but I think NBA is a great DFS sport. It's just the sweat's really hard. Like MMA, I mean, it's the last fight. You know, you need this guy to win or that guy to win. You need this amount of points or that amount of points. And 2 guys or girls trying to kill each other. So that always takes it for me. A little more winning seasons for Steelers is what they got with McCarthy. I mean, the team's solid, so maybe they'll get a winning season. Probably not, though. Mike McCarthy's the definition of, what do the kids like to say, dog water nowadays? Yeah, Mike McCarthy's dog water. Good to see you, Big Ed. I got nothing more, though. Let's go game by game, the first game of the nights. Brooklyn Nets and the Orlando Magic. 9.5 point favorites of the Magic. 214.5 total in this one. The lowest on the slate. Injuries in this one on the Nets side. Cam Thomas just got waived. Pretty big news there. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. They couldn't even find any trade partners for him. I mean, he's a G baller. There's no doubt about that. The ball doesn't move too much with him, but he definitely can put it in the basket. Orlando, no new injury news there. In terms of ownership in this first game, definitely not a lot, and that kind of makes sense with it being the lowest total of the slate and 9.5 point favorites. But what do you see in this one?
Yeah, these teams were fairly inactive at the trade deadline, so somewhat shocking, like that nobody could or wanted to make a move for Cam Thomas, but he'll get to choose where he wants to go now. Yeah, curious to see where he goes. There was a lot of motion about him going to the Bucks. I think that would be a pretty funny fit alongside Kevin Porter Jr. and Kyle Kuzma. That would be.
I'll take it.
Yeah, but yeah, I agree with you though. Not a very appealing DFS game. I think that the Nets side is pretty unappealing, and you're probably better off fading this team fully more times than not. And I especially think moving forward, this is going to be a very frustrating team to roster. They are probably going to be running out 10 to 11 guys most nights. You see that they don't project very well from a value standpoint. I think there's really only 3 guys that I'm even considering, maybe 4 I'm considering keeping my player pool right now, and that would be Michael Porter Jr. on the off chance that the game does stay close. If it doesn't, he'll probably get his minutes dialed back. Claxton and Sharp, just because the matchup is pretty good, but I think that they're going to end up splitting minutes more even down the stretch. And then Yegor Demon at 4.5K is just really cheap. And now that I thought Terrence Mann might have got moved, and maybe they'll end up cutting him. But if they make a move to get rid of some of the guard depth, then maybe some more minutes will open up for Demon. But I just don't think that they really want to play these guys a ton of minutes right now. I'd be shocked if they even play MPJ like 36 plus more than 1 or 2 times moving forward. I think that it's going to be pretty even. So I'm okay just fully fading the Nets tonight if that's what you want to do. It does set up pretty well for the Orlando side, though. Matchup-wise, the Nets are bottom 6 in defense over the last 2 weeks and bottom 2 in rim defense, also a pretty bad rebounding team as well. And the Magic are one of the top scoring teams around the basket. I forget the exact number, but they're like top 3 or 4 rim offensive frequency. So good matchup for some of these guys. I think the ones that kind of stand out to me would be Paulo and Suggs of the main starters. Paulo obviously still has plenty of upside. I think that the return of Suggs has kind of hurt his role a little bit, a slightly lower usage and a slightly smaller on-ball role over the last 6 games since Suggs has returned, but he's scoring the ball well, 25.2 points per game over the last 6, still playing a ton of minutes. So I'm okay with Paulo. I like Suggs, though, at 6K. I think this is a good spot for him to kind of fill up the stat sheet. He's been shooting the ball terribly since he returned from the injury, but the Nets are bottom 2 in turnover percentage. Suggs is a very good defensive player. I think that we could see him get the steals up there tonight, and then they're also bottom 5 in transition scoring, so pretty good spot for Suggs here. Just kind of need him to get back to baseline with his shooting because he's been awful over the last 6 games, but I definitely like Suggs here. And then Wendell Carter Jr. at 4.9K, definitely going to be in play. Good matchup for centers. Always like attacking the Nets with big men that score around the basket. So Wendell is in play, and then I would probably want to be like a max 2 of Paulo, Black, Suggs, and actually I think max 2 overall of Orlando is a good way to go tonight, and that'd probably be the cutoff. We'll see what they do down the line if they start to give more minutes to guys like Penda and Jace Richardson, but I probably doubt it.
Yeah, I mean, I think point guard's pretty solid on this slate. Probably the best position right now. So I'm not even exactly sure if I believe 24% for Suggs, maybe. But yeah, like you mentioned, a solid matchup. If the game stays somewhat close and these guys do get their full minutes, Suggs, Bane, Paulo. I never really loved playing Bane, but like you said, Paulo, Suggs. I don't know how much I love playing 2 Magic on this slate, but it's fine, I guess. Probably one of the least appealing games on the slate, though. Nets, I think, is a very easy cross-off. Like
you could probably be max 1 of the whole game, but max 1 each side makes a lot of sense. I like to look at like the line star perfect lineup stuff, and the Nets and the Magic are like 2 of the worst teams. Like they rarely have guys that make the perfect lineup. So more often than not, you're better off fading these teams entirely.
Yep. All right, next game on the slate, Washington Wizards and the Detroit Pistons. Biggest favorites on the slate are the Pistons at 14.5, 226.5 total in this one. On the Washington side, no Trey Johnson, and they traded Middleton, and no Bagley either. So Bagley got traded, Middleton got traded, Branham got traded, and then Trey Johnson's out. I think I got that right. On the Detroit side, Cade's questionable, Tobias is questionable. I mean, I'll start right there. Do you have any leans on those 2 Q tags? Because that could change some things. When I'm looking at the spread, though, it feels like they're probably playing. But yeah, what do you see in this game?
I mean, they'll probably, even if they miss, I would expect Detroit to be heavily favored.
14.5?
Yeah, against Washington. Washington is going to be a headache moving forward. Like they're going to be tanking really hard right now because the tank race is really, really tight. So I think that they would smoke them regardless.
So do you think they might sit? Like you think it's 14.5 without Cade and it's like 7? I mean, Cade's got to be worth at least 1.5 points at least, I would say.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not sure how much higher you can actually go, but yeah, I just think that they should be favored by like 13 regardless of Cade or Tobias playing is kind of how it worded. But I mean, we'll get the news before the slate starts, but so we can kind of talk through both scenarios. But for the Washington side, yeah, I think it's going to be really, really difficult to roster this team moving forward. I think that they have enough bodies to give guys a lot of minutes. So you're now also paying a premium for guys like Bub Carrington and Keyshawn George and Alex Sarr, and we're probably not seeing that like 36 plus minute ceiling that we've seen from these guys moving forward. I think if you're considering them, you're probably assuming that the game is going to stay close. So I would say like if Sarr and George to have a Pistons bring back would make a little bit of sense to me. I also don't know if you really need to force that rule. I'm personally just going to be pretty underweight on Sarr and George because the matchup 1 is terrible and 2, they're probably not playing a lot of minutes. So that gets me onto the value plays. I think that these guys are definitely in play here. There's 3 guys that are really standing out to me. One is Justin Champagnie at 5K. He should be pretty clear for minutes moving forward with Middleton gone. Just like the lack of depth that they have at the wing position should be pretty good for him moving forward. And it's an okay matchup for him. Pistons are a little bit more vulnerable at defending the 3-point line. So I think it's an okay spot for him. And then next would be Tristan Vukcevic. He's been out for a while. I don't really know if that was like truly injury related or if it was more so they're just holding him out until the trade deadline, but he'll have a lot of fantasy appeal moving forward. I think he should be the direct backup to Sarr. There might even be a little bit of overlap for them just because they have like Anthony Gill is their next man up as their center. I don't really think that they're interested in playing him much. But Vukcevic has been a pretty good permanent producer in his career, and he's really cheap now, just 3.6K. Only center eligible, which kind of sucks, but I'm definitely willing to take some shots on him. I like him more points per dollar wise than Sarr tonight. And then the last guy I'll mention, I guess there's two more. One is Will Riley. He has a chance to start. I think it'll be him and Champagnie kind of splitting those power forward minutes, and he's been okay this season as a permanent producer. Should be a guy that plays in a blowout as well. A young guy with a little bit of talent, so he'll be in there regardless, but could play in a blowout. And then Jameer Watkins is the one guy that I have a good amount of interest in at 3.2K. We've seen times where he really spikes for big minutes when the game blows out, and it seems like he's the direct backup to Bilal Coulibaly, kind of a defensive stopper. So I like him at 3.2K. Some rules that I am considering, but if you are just not considering playing much Washington, then you could just say max 2 and cover it all. But it would be max 1 of Sarr and Vukcevic for me, max 1 of Bub Carrington and Sharif Cooper if you're considering him, max 1 of Watkins and Coulibaly, and I think that's it.
You don't plan on getting any like Coulibaly or George. I already know you said you didn't love Sarr that much either. You're playing 150, but like you probably like if you were playing 20 teams or less, you're not playing any of those guys priced above 5K, hey? Or besides Champagnie.
Yeah, I think that's pretty smart to just X them out.
Yeah.
On the Pistons side, though, we'll talk about it with Cade in. If Cade is in, this spot looks like not one I really want to get too deep into. It'd probably be max 2 of Pistons if Cade were to be in. And I would probably like Duren the most at 7.7K. Obviously, a really good matchup. The Wizards getting killed at the basket and still one of the worst rebounding teams in the league. So you can play him regardless. He obviously gets a lot better if Cade were to be out. But I like Duren the most right now, matchup-wise. Probably won't get to too much Cade. Obviously, it's a good matchup. But blowout concerns, and he's also going to be guarded by Coulibaly, which is slightly neutral to below average matchup for him. So I'd be okay getting away from that. I definitely don't want to play Tobias Harris at ownership, even though he projects like a positive value. Like he's just never a guy that really blows away the slate. And I think that you'll probably get better points per dollar upside from the Bulls guys and even some of the other later games. So I'm okay getting away from him. That's probably where I'd cut it off, though. If Cade were to be out, then we have to get a little creative because I don't really know what they would do at the point guard position. They obviously just acquired Kevin Huerter. I feel like Huerter they probably traded for him to be the replacement for Karis LeVert moving forward. I think that they'll probably want him out there a little bit more just because he has a little bit more floor spacing, probably a better defender at this point of his career. But they'll probably give Marcus Sasser a good amount of minutes, and maybe even he starts. There's also a chance that they just go to Asar Thompson as a starting point guard. He's obviously a guy that came into the league that was more of like looked at it like a point guard. So I think that he would be he'd have a pretty solid role and obviously a really good matchup where he could fill up the stat sheet. So he'd probably be the number one guy I look to, and then obviously Duren right there with him. But I saw somebody ask about Dennis Jenkins. I don't think he's going to play tonight. He's out, and they're kind of figuring out some contract stuff with him. They have to convert him. He's in the G League, but they're basically just trying to convert his contract into a 2-year contract right now. So a little negotiation going on.
How would just say like Cade is out and they go with Sasser? How would he compare to Jaden Ivey if Sexton plays, Jameer Watkins on the other side? I know a little different position that way, but how do you think Kawamura or whatever, like how do you think he would compare to those guys?
I would have Ivy ahead of him, but he'd probably be the second best value play in my eyes. Definitely ahead of Watkins and definitely, I think, probably ahead of Sexton too.
Does Cade playing have any impact on like those Washington value guys that might get more blowout run? Like if Cade plays, is more likely to blow out. And like if he does play and you play Cade, are you less likely to play maybe like a Will Riley or something?
I'd probably be more likely to play those guys.
Or you'd be more likely, yeah, because you think it's a blowout, excuse me.
Yeah. So the blowout lineup is going to be obviously Sarr, George, Coulibaly will not be out there. They've been a lot less likely to play Bub in a blowout where they were earlier this season. Like he's been below 30 minutes in each of the last 5 games. So it would probably be depending on what they want to do between Gill and Champagnie, I think, but it'd be Riley, Vukcevic, Watkins, and Cooper for sure. That's 4 guys. So then, yeah, it'd be between Gill or Champagne is the last guy.
Yeah,
Probably be Gill.
That makes it interesting. Like, I mean, they're 14.5-point favorites. I got to expect probably some blowout, assuming K does play. So Watkins, Vukcevic, Riley looks to be really low owned. Like, that's like definitely an off the board if you're eating tons of chalk. And there's a lot of chalk people will be eating. But I think Vukcevic and Watkins are pretty strong plays on this slate. There's a ton of value, though. There's no doubt, which is going to lead. Like, on this slate, Jalen Johnson is going to be extraordinarily popular because, I mean, sorting by price, Jalen 10.5, Cade 10.2, again, it's questionable and blowout risk, Wemby 10K, and then the next highest is 9.5K. So just naturally, you're going to get a lot of Wemby and a lot of Jalen Johnson, more starts and scrubs build. So yeah, we've had a lot of, as the season goes on and the later it gets, that's kind of like what NBA DFS turns into. You try and find studs that are playing for something and playing a lot of minutes, and you almost always have a ton of value, especially this time at the trade deadline. And once we get into March, you'll be seeing random names and stuff pop up. So yeah, we've had a similar slate like this the past couple of days, and Washington value is definitely in the mix, competing with some Bulls value that we're going to get to. Someone asked, did Jay Ivey get traded? Yes, he did. He's on the Chicago Bulls, and they're definitely going to be popular, like Rio mentioned from the top. 7.5-point favorites are the Raptors. 226.5 total in this one. On the Chicago side, no Josh Giddey, no Trey Jones. Io got traded. Dieng got traded. And Colin Sexton, like you mentioned, is questionable. He did get traded here. Like you said, usually they don't play this early, but they might need him to. I don't know if you have any lean there. Toronto side, we'll get that news more than likely before lock. But Toronto side, no RJ Barrett, and that's it there. I mean, yeah, just sorting by ownership on the Bulls side. Again, assuming Sexton's in, we're looking at, is that right? Assuming Sexton's in, it's 8?
It'd be 9 with Sexton because they have Mac McClung too.
Oh, and he's not in the player pool.
Yeah, he's not in the player pool.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I guess, I mean, you can just see all this ownership right here. We were just talking about Kawamura yesterday. Now he's going to find himself as one of the more popular plays on the slate. My question is, though, these Raptors are really low owned. They have some studs, and it's only a 7.5-point total against backups. So I'm pretty interested in getting some runbacks on Toronto at ownership. Curious to hear your take there. You can start Chicago or that side if you want. But yeah, I'm definitely interested in some Toronto pieces.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that stood out was earlier in the day, Sabre was so high on these Bulls guys. I mean, I think they had Matas at like 48 earlier. Obviously, they brought it down a little bit because Sexton, they had to put him in there. He wasn't initially projected, but he had a crazy high projection. But yeah, I mean, he's a lot less likely now to get yanked out like we saw earlier because they're not really going to be competing. So I feel like now is kind of the time where you can just let him play a lot of minutes and let him make mistakes. We'll see, though. I mean, Billy Donovan's still really, really hard on Matas in particular, but it just makes it a lot tougher tonight for him to dial back the minutes. But yeah, you're definitely going to want to get a good amount of these Bulls guys. I'm not really thinking about it in terms of who has the best matchup. It's more just who's going to be playing the most minutes and then kind of looking to group away guys that I think could be eating into each other's minutes upside. The bigs, it's going to be pretty much all Jalen Smith and Lachlan Olbrich as the centers tonight. I think that they'll probably cover the 48, probably get like 26 from Jalen Smith, 22 from Olbrich, I would imagine. Jalen Smith also has a chance to get injured mid-game because he had they listed it as a calf cramp last game, but it was more like a strain. Obviously not something you really want to mess around with because that can turn into a bigger issue. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's more like 24-24 Jalen Smith, Olbrich, and you're getting good ownership. I don't know if what they have it at right now is actually where it ends up. I feel like it's got to be higher because he's going to be in the rotation for sure.
Are they not going to overlap at all? Sabre definitely has it projected that they will.
They didn't last game. I don't think that they will.
Okay.
Yeah, they just don't really have the same center depth until Nick Richards is ready for them to overlap at all.
So I think it looks like Jalen Smith is projected a little too high based on what you're saying with your minutes projection.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. I feel like it could be a lot closer than they have it. So yeah, max one of those two guys. The wing depth is kind of like it's the wings and the centers where they have very little depth. Obviously, they have a plethora of guards once Simons and Sexton and Giddey and all these Trey Jones, like all these guys come back, they're going to have a lot of guard depth, so they need to figure that out. But tonight it's basically Patrick Williams, Isaac Okoro, and Matas as their 3-4. I guess you can kind of group in Okoro as like a 2-3 because he's going to have to mix in at guard a lot tonight as well. I'm not really setting a rule for those guys because I feel like they're going to play a good bit, especially Patrick Williams. He played a ton last time, and now he's probably starting. I think that they're just going to need him for a lot of minutes. So he's a pretty solid, probably one of the better value plays on the Bulls, I would say, just from a pure minute standpoint. And then Matas has the clearest upside of the team. Like if there was anybody on this team that's going for 50 plus, it would probably be Matas. But he's almost 7K, and he's the one guy where you can kind of poke holes in his matchup because he will see Scotty Barnes. So that's like the one downside of playing him at such high ownership. I definitely think that there's a little bit more downside risk to him just from like a scoring, like DFS wise standpoint. For the guards though, if Sexton is out, it's going to be a lot of Jaden Ivey and a lot of Yuki Kawamura. If Sexton is out, then I'm not setting any rules there. But if he's in, I would want to be a max 2 of Ivy, Okoro, Sexton, and Kawamura. But I think Ivy is probably the best play. He's the one guy, like him and Matas are the two guys on this team I think that have the most long-term upside for the Bulls. So I feel like they're going to be – they're not going to be cautious with Ivy's minutes. I think that they're going to be more like intentional with his role. I think he'll have a really big role for the Bulls this season as long as Giddey is sidelined. So him and Patrick Williams are my two favorites on the Bulls tonight.
How many would be too many Bulls? If you're playing one of Ulbrich, Smith, you're playing Ivy. I guess Sexton in or out determines that question. So if Sexton's in, how many Bulls is too many?
It would probably
Can you play 4?
Yeah, I think 4 would probably be fine. I'd have to check exact because it's just they only have 7 guys that you can actually roster, so it's gonna be tough not to play them. Like
how many minutes do you think McClung's playing?
20, maybe 22.
Well, more than I expected. Because I mean, man, like Jake's asking, good question. How many minutes is Ivy getting? Like they only haven't projected Saber 26. That feels a little light. I mean,
I think he's playing 30. I think he's playing 30 regardless.
Yeah.
He said that he was healthy. I was just looking at the Casey Johnson, who's the beat reporter for the Bulls. He just said, I've been healthy this year. It just wasn't really working in Detroit anymore. I just don't think that he was a good fit. But obviously he had the nasty injury, but that was in January 2025. So it's been more than a year. I think that he is fully healthy. So he's probably ready for big minutes. But I think they said Billy Donovan's going to be doing a press game conference pretty soon, a pregame presser that will kind of determine who is in and who's out. So we'll know pretty soon.
Yeah, but I mean, you can just see just the whole slate sorting by ownership. Right now, the top 6 guys on the slate in ownership are projected for the Bulls. I don't know if I quite believe that.
I believe that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. All right. Yeah, but Ivy will be like I think that 52%, even if Sexton's in, you might be like high stakes, you might be looking at 80%.
Yeah.
And MME, like you might be looking at 60 plus. So yeah, just take that how you will. All right. What about Toronto side? I mean, that ownership, I think that's pretty appealing on a couple of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of struggle to see how Chicago can keep the game close. So I was very surprised about the spread being as close as it is. But yeah, you definitely have to have interest in these guys. It's similar to like the Pacers and the Jazz a couple of nights ago, where you're going up against a really shorthanded team that probably, like, I don't know if any of these guys really project to be good defenders outside of Isaac Okoro. But even he's like kind of limited on who he can slow down. Matas is a really good shot blocker for his position, but not a great one-on-one defender. And then Jalen Smith and Ulbrich Jalen Smith is injured and he's not going to play a ton. And then Ulbrich is young and probably not very good. So yeah, I definitely have interest in the Toronto side. I think Scotty Barnes is the guy that I'm looking to for upside, though. He was really close to a triple-double last game against Minnesota, and he does have that upside. RJ Barrett's out, so a little bit more usage should go his way. I never really like paying $8K plus for Brandon Ingram, so he'd be a guy that I'm okay not getting to a ton of. And then quickly, I do like quickly. Pick and roll heavy guards have been good against the Bulls this season, just with their defensive scheme. So I do like quickly here a good bit. It's just tough with these guys only having one position that you can play them at. So it's a little like kind of restrictive. But yeah, I'm okay with those two guys. And I do think CMB, Colin Murray-Boyles, could see his minutes get pushed up a little bit here. He's been kind of limited with Sandro playing 30 plus off the bench, but I think that a team like Chicago, maybe they just want to get him more minutes. So I could see him getting like to 28, 30 here, and he could kind of fill up the stat sheet in a big way versus a team like Chicago. So I like him.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting shout on Murray Boyles, and really chalky teams like overspending a little bit really doesn't mean too much on a slate when salary's so loose. Scotty and Quickly definitely look like the main ones though. I think Quickly's really strong, and his ownership has to be in check just because of how loaded point guard is. What's up, Rodney? Yeah, he's out today.
He hasn't signed yet. They're going to get it done the next day or two probably.
Cool. Yeah, definitely a good game to target though, and keep your eyes out for Colin Sexton news. That definitely will be important. All right, next game on the slate. Rio's Utah Jazz taking on the Atlanta Hawks. 9.5-point favorites are the Hawks. Big boy total, 244.5 on the Utah side. No Keontae George, no Jaren Jackson, no Conchar, no Vince Williams. And then K-Love is questionable on the Atlanta side. Okongwu is still questionable with that nasty mouth injury. And obviously Porzingis did get traded. I mean, I don't believe this Jalen Johnson ownership one bit. I think that could be like 40% or something. You only have so many options to spend, and especially if Cade's out, then the options get even more limited. But I think Jalen Johnson will be the first one people click, and I think Wemby will probably be the second one if people spend up and you have all the money in the world to save. So, yeah, I mean, I guess you can start Jalen Johnson, but can we get any, if you don't play Jalen Johnson, it's CJ or it's Nah or Dyson Daniels. Can you make any case there? I mean, what a great game environment, though. And yeah, shout out to Matt's guy Collier. He's been a beast. Price has gone up, but you could argue it's not high enough. I definitely still have interest in some of these Jazz.
Yeah. You want me to start on the Atlanta side, you said?
Yeah, I think that's probably a little tighter, but
yeah.
And the Jalen Johnson's the one that, like I said, that ownership's just not right. So what you do with him, and I'm curious to hear if there's pivots if you don't play Jalen Johnson.
I kind of would just eat the chalk on Jalen. Like it just sets up so perfectly for him from a matchup standpoint. I just find it very difficult to see a situation where he doesn't go for 55 plus personally. He went for 92 against the Jazz earlier this season. A little bit of a different situation because the Jazz were healthier and playing a little bit more competitive basketball. But I mean, a 9-point spread or whatever it's at now, 10 points is close enough to where you get full minutes. And this is the premier game environment on the slate, 244 total. The Jazz don't play defense. He's been a per-minute beast this season without Trey and Porzingis. So now we'll get him like this for the rest of the season. And then if Okongwu's out, then that just solidifies his role even more. Like a triple-double would be almost a lock, in my opinion. Like his role is really locked in now, even kind of meshing with CJ McCollum a little bit more. So, yeah, I think Jalen Johnson is the guy that – like the top spender for me, and it's not you're not getting that by anybody, but I'm gonna be fine playing him at any ownership personally.
Makes sense.
As for the second guys though, definitely think that there's upside to Nickeil Alexander, Dyson, and CJ, just because the matchup is so good for them. I could see one of these guys putting up a pretty big score. For me, I think it's gonna be Dyson. The Jazz did a really good job taking care of the ball. Last game, only 2 turnovers from Sexton or from Collier, and I think they had 10 total as a team. But that's not really their identity. They have been a team that's very turnover prone. So I like Dyson here. I think I like him the most with the point guard, shooting guard eligibility. But it's a really good spot matchup wise for Nah and CJ McCollum. The Jazz have been getting killed against 3-point shooters. Both those guys will get up a ton here. It just makes it a little bit tougher for you to for Nickeil Alexander to really pay off his price tag at $7K. Because he's going to need like 30 real points, just kind of losing some of the peripheral stats to Dyson and CJ as they're kind of getting more acclimated into the team. So yeah, I just kind of prefer Dyson as my number one option behind Jalen Johnson. Then I would say CJ and then Nickeil. But if you have a strong lean on any of them, then I'm totally fine with that. I think one of these guys does put up a pretty big score.
You're fine playing Nah or like any of them with Jalen Johnson too. Like 3 feels a little like Dyson, Nah, Jalen feels a little much, but you're fine playing 2 of Jalen with 1 of CJ, Nah, and Daniels.
Yeah, I think that's smart. You could probably be max 2 of the entire group of those 4, because I would be okay getting lineups that don't have Jalen and
Yeah.
just say that it's like 2 of those other guys that are getting there taken away from him in like a 150 set. But my preferred route would be Jalen plus one of these guys, probably Dyson or CJ. After that, though, go ahead.
Yeah, what about the Kungwu Q tag? Like, if he plays, can he be a little sneaky at center as a pivot off of? I mean, Nurk's going to get a little ownership on the other side of this game, but I don't think many run to a Kongwu even if he does play. And I mean, it was his mouth, so like it shouldn't really be a minutes limit, or like I would assume he jumps back into the same role.
Yeah, I mean, if he's in that, he's playing full minutes, like you said. It's not like he pulled a hamstring or anything like that. Like, he'll be full. Yeah, I mean, great matchup for him. You really need him to get hot shooting the ball, because that's like from beyond the arc. That's kind of where you start to access the big upside from him, because he just doesn't do enough of the other things. Like, it'll be a little bit tougher for him to really spike for a big rebounding game when Jalen Johnson's playing as well as he is. So I'd be fine with him, but I do have him tick behind Nurkic and Duran personally. If he's out, though, then you're getting the minutes split between Moge and Koloko. I don't really know like what their plan is with them. It's been kind of back and forth on who's getting the minutes and who's starting, so I'm not super confident in those guys. I'd probably just rather play like Patrick Williams and Lachlan Ulbrich personally. But yeah, I think that's probably it. Like, I just want the top 4 guys for Atlanta. I just don't think that Reece Shea has enough upside. He's playing very little minutes right now. It's a great matchup for like Reece Shea and Corey Kispert if you wanted to take a shot on somebody as a pivot, because he's a really good 3-point shooter. I'd be okay with that.
So much better value.
Yeah. So that's probably it for me on the Atlanta side. For Utah, though, I'm going to be monitoring the status of the G League guys coming into the game, because none of the G League guys played last night, and they did have a game. So John Tanji, Oscar Shibwe, and EJ Harkless are the 3 G League guys that are likely on the roster tonight. I don't know how much they plan on playing them. I just think that they, like Will Hardy and the guys, really want the team to develop with their core. So I would imagine the guys that they have available, like, it's going to be a similar rotation, I would imagine, to what we saw from the Pacers, assuming that Nurkic is starting. But if he's not starting, then he could definitely he won't play. Like, it's if Nurkic and Svi are off the bench, you can probably play Svi because they're just so thin at guard, but he's probably not playing more than 20 minutes, and then Nurkic is a DNP risk. But if K-Love is out, then and Nurkic is starting, then I'd be okay. Like, I would expect them to play the game straight up.
Svi still feels pretty difficult on this slate to get there at 4K. But I mean, fire up Filipowski again if Kevin Love's out and Nurkic isn't starting. I mean, what a smash!
Yeah, and Will Hardy even said like he was okay playing these guys a ton of minutes. He told Isaiah Collier before the game that he was, or I think even like mid game, he was like, don't foul because you're gonna play the entire game. I think he said that he told him before, like, and I think he's fine playing him 40 plus again here. So Collier is hands down the top option for me. I mean, he just had such an insane role. It's hard not to have the role that he had playing 48 minutes and like 36 or 38, whatever he played the night before. Obviously going to see Dyson Daniels. I think it'll be Dyson on him. I don't know if they're going to put Dyson on Laurie or if they'll put like Reece Shea or Jalen on Laurie. Either way, he will see a tougher defender than he saw the last couple games. But just the tracking stats were insane for him. 9.6 minutes of touch time, 21 potential assists. He's like underpriced for the role that he had. So I'm totally fine with Collier. I'm going to be playing a lot of him. I think that he's playing 38 tonight with a chance for 48 again. So I'm cool with him. After, like, he's the only guy I'm really prioritizing. If Nurkic is in the starting lineup, then I'm cool with him too, because it's a good matchup. And we have seen really big upside from him. 7.4K, price starting to come down a little bit. Laurie, I'd be a little bit cautious with. He came off of a really long illness. And I don't really know how real the illness was, but he's probably still not playing like 36 here. I'd be more comfortable playing like the Ace Baileys and Bryce Sensabaugh, maybe even Cody Williams. He's been turning the corner a little bit, but in comparison to the Bulls stuff, those guys are pretty far down. I do like Ace, though. He played 40 minutes last game, and I think they're going to really ask a lot of him moving forward as long as they're a little shorthanded. So I do like Ace, probably my third option on the Jazz tonight.
Does like a Sensabaugh, do they get any bumps if Nurkic isn't starting? Like a little more usage to go around? Ball doesn't like run through him as much down low, or no correlation?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Nurkic is a guy that will take up possessions. They like to run the offense through him at times. So definitely having him off the court, the ball has to go to somebody else. I feel like it's just more Collier, if anything. Like,
Yeah,
Collier, I agree with you on Filipowski, because if Nurkic is off the bench and Filipowski's starting, Collier and Filipowski's minutes have lined up a lot over the last 2 seasons. Like, they run the second unit together. They have a lot of chemistry in the pick and roll. So I do think even at 6,400, like if people aren't playing him and he's starting, I would really, really like him.
yeah, no, I agree. Would Kevin Love news do anything? Like, if let's say Kevin Love, Nurkic isn't playing, Kevin Love is playing, Filipowski still starts. Does that do anything with Filipowski? Does that dock him a little bit with Kevin Love still active? But usually when he comes off the bench, he doesn't like play that many minutes. But
yeah, I'm still not expecting a lot, if any, minutes from Kevin Love tonight, because they called him Oscar Tshiebwe. Like, they might just have him be the emergency third center.
Yeah, I think at ownership, like right now, a little bit of Toronto and then Utah, I think obviously Collier, and I don't believe that ownership one bit either. Again, when we talked on the show Tuesday, I forget what, we had Collier at 12% on the show, and when it closed, we had him at 33%. So projections, ownership, it all gets updated throughout the day. Constantly be refreshing. You should definitely not be building your NBA teams right now. But yeah, that 10% is definitely not accurate, and we will have it all reflected on how we see it when it gets closer to lock. Yeah, definitely do not play Nurk if he's not starting. That's for sure. But yeah, I think some of these, depending on the starting lineup, depending on if Nurk is in or if he's not, Ace Bailey, Sensabaugh, Filipowski, I don't think these guys are going to get too much ownership either. So I like it. Any other thoughts there? Otherwise, we can keep it rolling.
No, I'll probably drop some more notes on the Jazz in the Discord if we get any sort of reporting, but definitely expect some weird stuff to happen moving forward. I gotta really just look at what they're gonna do with the G Leaguers, because I think that's a big thing.
Yeah, and Rio mentioned the Discord. Very, very valuable piece of our content over here at ShipItNation.com. Shout out to Rio. Shout out to Little Neck in there a lot. Matt as well. How to get in the Discord, ShipItNation.com. Join the nation. It'll say right there, bottom left. And there's a daily pass for $9. That doesn't include Discord. It does include SaberSim, though. 4 more days, though, you do get for an extra $10. 5 days, $19. You'll get Super Bowl Sunday content, NBA content, PGA Showdown, MMA this Saturday, and NHL. So no better deal there. I do think the best deal right now is the 5 days for $19. Discord, SaberSim, access to all of those sports. We'd love to have you. Yeah, there's our guy right here. Discord is amazing. Hey, even if you just like entertainment, you can watch Shalhoub tilt his ass off in the golf or the NHL channel pretty much 24/7. Love you, Shalhoub. But yeah, very few tilt like my man Shalhoub. So
I was just
a lot of entertainment. Even if
I was just looking in the PJ Discord, and that was the first thing I saw.
He was tilted.
Yeah,
right on cue. There you go. There you have it. All right, we'll keep it rolling. Next game on the slate: Houston Rockets and the Charlotte Hornets. 4.5-point favorites of the Rockets. 219.5 total. Injuries in this one. Nothing really to note on the Hornets side. The Saloon is questionable. Doesn't mean anything to me. Tari Eason's questionable on the Houston side. Yeah, 2 relatively healthy teams. And when that's the case this late in the season, usually that means not much ownership. A shout out to our guy Manning yesterday. What an awesome score. But yeah, KD definitely let him down. If you're playing anyone in this game, though, it feels like you're picking the spends. And the game should be close, even with the low total, not much injuries. But do you really see any spends in this one to get to?
Yeah, I think this game definitely, from a game stacking standpoint, probably the best outside of the Jazz. Just in the sense that the spread's close, obviously not a super appealing game total. But I definitely think that Toronto has a good chance to blow out Chicago. But yeah, I think this game could stay close. Obviously, the Hornets, one of the hotter teams in the NBA, playing really good on both ends of the court. And the Rockets got embarrassed last night at home against the Celtics, the shorthanded Celtics, mind you. They got blown out at home, just gave up a ton of threes and a ton of offensive rebounds, which is never really Boston's game. So I do think that there are some areas to attack this Houston defense with. And the Hornets made the move to grab Kobe White, which I think is a pretty solid move for them, get some more bench scoring. But they will be a little bit thin at guard tonight. Not sure if Trey Mann's going to be mixed in at all. They just haven't really shown a willingness to play him much while they have a fully healthy team. Maybe he gets like a rotation at each half, but I would expect a little bit of bigger minutes for the main starters tonight. So I do like LaMelo at 7.8K. Obviously a tougher matchup against Amen Thompson, but they'll ask a lot out of Amen. LaMelo is a pretty good pick and roll guy, so I could see him still getting up a ton of shots here and doing well. He's played 30 minutes or more in each of his last 3 games, so the minutes restriction slowly starting to come off. I do have the most interest in him at 7.8K. And then it would probably be Miles Bridges at 6.3 just because he's really cheap. But nothing about the matchup for Miller, Kahn, or Bridges really stands out. It's just a pricing thing. I would definitely want to be a max 2 of those guys. And then Diabate at 5.2. I mean, after seeing what Neemias Queta did to them, like I don't think that there's an outside shot that Diabate could have a similar outing. I don't think he's going for 52 or whatever.
He did last week.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, yeah, obviously very rare, 99% outcome, but we did just see it from him.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a really good spot for him, and he's one of the best rebounding centers in the league, honestly. Like, just rebounding percentage-wise, he's up there with some of the top guys. So I do think that there's a chance if Houston comes out as flat as they did against Queta, like we could see a pretty solid game from Diabate. So 5.2K looks like a pretty appealing price tag for him. That's probably it, though. I don't think I'm going to mess with any of the bench guys. I just want mostly starters for Charlotte.
You said you think before you moved to the other side, like all these starters minutes you think are under projected a little bit?
Not Brandon Miller or Kahn. I think that they're – are you talking about the minutes?
31. Yeah, like what Sabre at 30 for Miller, 31 for Kahn, 29 for LaMelo.
Yeah, I'd probably say like Miller and Kahn probably like 34, 35-ish.
Yeah, I think at ownership, I think the Hornets are a little interesting too as pivots. Like it's a very chalky slate in terms of like the value is going to be pretty condensed with the Bulls stuff, maybe a little Washington. Jalen Johnson's going to be really chalky. Wemby, like we know where ownership's going and it's going to be high. So trying to find possible pivots. Yeah, we think the minutes are a little underprojected and the game's supposed to be close, which you can't really say about all these. So yeah. I think it's pretty interesting.
For the Houston side, I don't know. It's kind of gross. Like these prices have been up all season long. I tend to just lean with Sengun when the prices are this close between him, KD, and Amen. He got ejected last night. I don't know if it was true, but apparently he called one of the female refs a derogatory term. But
the B word?
Yeah. I don't know if that's true, but I was just kind of watching the video on mute. I don't know if it actually happened, but.
All right, what are your thoughts? I don't want to. I mean, maybe I shouldn't ask. We have 400 watching. We don't want to get like, but you know what I mean. You're like people are probably chirping male refs and calling them stuff that I'm not sure they're getting ejected for based on just words. I don't know. If you want to answer anything, you can, but I try and I guess stay away from controversy.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about it post show.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when the prices are this close, I'll just probably lean with Sengun just because he has an easier shot to get there with like the rebounding and assist upside. I do think that they could lean on KD for a ton of minutes here just because he's been pretty limited. He had the ankle injury, missed a game, then didn't play a lot in the 2 games prior. So yeah, I think that he'd be the guy that maybe has a little bit of upside at his price tag, but I really don't like paying $9K for Kevin Durant at just with the role that he has with his team. So I don't know. I'm kind of torn. I'll probably just be a max 1 of like the Sengun, KD, Amen, or probably max 2 just to make it easier. I'll be okay getting a couple of these guys with all the value on the slate. I do lean Sengun, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see like 40 minutes from KD tonight. And then Amen's going to have his hands full guarding LaMelo. Can obviously still get there, but he's been a pretty low permanent guy with the team fully healthy. So you're kind of just banking on him getting like 42 minutes, which he probably will, and then maybe falling into like a double-double with rebounds or assists. And that kind of be the way that he accesses his ceiling. Not playing Jabari at 6.6. And then Tari with the questionable tag is somewhat interesting because that could make the roles a little bit better for the starting guys. But he's more of like the off-ball guy. You know, I don't really think that the guys that would get a uptick in minutes between like Shepherd and Okogie or even like Aaron Holiday are really much in play at these price tags. So really just focusing in on the top 3 guys for Houston.
Yeah, like I think it's hard to get to most of these teams' value outside of like the Washington, the Bulls, maybe a little Detroit. So when that's the case, yeah, like KD 40 minutes. I mean, I'll play that. I think it's interesting if you want to go like a KD or a Sengun and then play like a Brandon Miller or a Khan or a LaMelo. Like if you are fading Jalen Johnson, I think that's one way you can get a little different, like load up on the mid tier a little bit. Yeah, it's also worth noting this is a 4.5 point spread. I see 15.5, 9.5, 9.5, 8.5, and 7.5. I don't really play for like OTs. I mean, we saw it yesterday. You definitely needed some of those OT games yesterday. But yeah, if you bank OT in this one and some of the others blow out, you could see a little mini stack, KD, LaMelo, something like that. So pretty interesting. Definitely don't get to value. Well, if Tari Eason plays, would you have any interest at 6'3" or no?
I mean, if it's a true questionable tag, I think it is. Like he's always had this left leg injury management thing. So I would think that they're probably like they're not playing him 30 plus minutes anymore. I would imagine with that injury tag. It's also a very odd injury tag for him because he's had the same injury tag over the last like 3 or 4 seasons. Yeah, there was a lot of like speculation with what was going on with that injury. So I don't really know.
KD or Scotty Barnes?
I don't know. I don't really.
Yeah, hey, go check projections.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean that's really tough. All right, we'll get to the last game of the slate. Appreciate everyone hanging out, watching live, watching on playback. All we ask for is the like button and the subscribe button. Takes you 2 seconds out of your day, helps us out a ton. Bringing you shows on this channel every single day. Later tonight, PGA Showdown show and MMA with myself and Big Marley. Tomorrow, you will get Matt and Ham talking some hoops. Hoop, Tambo, and myself will be talking NFL Super Bowl Sunday at 12 Eastern. So shows pretty much every day. Content always up for all the sports, as you see mentioned. And some of the sports like League of Legends, tennis, where we don't charge for it. We do have knowledgeable people in the Discord dropping their thoughts there. So shout out to our whole team and shout out to the members in Discord that help bring some content and, hey, help make people laugh, like my man Shaloub. Hope your golf team's turn it around a little bit, my man. Last game of the night, 8:30 Eastern, San Antonio Spurs and the Dallas Mavericks. 8.5 point favorites of the Spurs, 230.5 total in this one. On the Spurs side, Dylan Harper and Kelly Olynyk questionable. Luke Cornett is out. On the Dallas side, no PJ Washington still, and then Brandon Williams and Daniel Gafford are questionable. Man, all I got to say is Cooper Flagg is really, I guess, not turned a new leaf. The dude's been a stud for a while, but it took them a little bit to adjust to the NBA game. And yeah, I mean, you could see the confidence they have getting rid of AD and stuff. They're building around Flagg, and rightfully so. So, I mean, we're showing 13%. He still hasn't projected well. Like in this awesome stretch, he really hasn't projected great, but he keeps getting the job done at low ownership for people. So maybe a contrarian spend there. I think Wemby too. I'm interested to hear your take on Wemby's minutes in this one, but there's just really not many spends. If you don't play Jalen Johnson, Wemby, it feels like, is the next one to click on. So, yeah, what do you see in this one?
Yeah, I mean, Wemby only played 28 minutes last night, obviously a back-to-back. But, I mean, if it's really just if Dallas can hang around, is he going to be able to play full minutes? I think they could, but I don't know. They looked really bad outside of Flagg against Boston. I mean, it's really tough for Dallas to compete when you only have one guy that's really producing. He's just kind of not surrounded with enough talent to keep games close. But yet again, OKC was down every single one of their main guys. So there's a chance here, but I think it's going to really have to come from a huge Flagg game. I'll talk about him once we get to Dallas. But yeah, I think Wemby is pretty solid here at 10K. Obviously, a really good matchup. Dallas trending down on defense. Daniel Gafford is a guy we like to attack. He went for 70 against Dallas earlier this season, averaging 32.2 points per 75 against Gafford in their head-to-head matchup. So it's a really good matchup for Wemby. I'm definitely interested in him tonight. I honestly got pretty lucky like being low on Wemby last night. I was pretty high on him before late swapping and then didn't really check my exposure and only had 10% of him. And I was really kicking myself because I wanted more. But yeah, I mean, OKC kept it close and he hypothetically should have got more minutes, but just didn't really produce a ton. So we'll see what they do. They could just manage his minutes again like they did last night. I think that this is probably a game they feel like they can win if they don't play him full. But yeah, I definitely have interest in him at 10K. It's a good price tag, good matchup. I think I like Castle over Fox tonight. He only played 26, was in a lot of foul trouble most of the game. He should be the primary defender on Cooper Flag tonight. I think that they'll put him on there. I'm not sure if they would go Champagny, but I think that Castle probably matches up a little bit better. Flag has been drawing a lot of fouls recently over the last 3 games. So I think that there definitely is some downside risk to playing Castle, but on offense, he should have very little resistance scoring the way that he does, which is around the basket. That's a really, really weak rim defense. I'm cool with Castle. Would probably prefer Wemby over him. That's probably where I'd cut it off. I think if Harper is out, doesn't really do a ton. We saw them kind of spread out the minutes between Keldon, Vassell, and Harrison Barnes with Harper out. So I don't really think that it changes much. Olynyk being out definitely doesn't change much. I mean, maybe they look to get Carter Bryant going a little bit more, but I think it's a little thin. So it's probably just Wemby and Castle for me. Okay, for the Dallas side, yeah, Cooper Flag obviously been crushing it. Last 3 games, 119 points scored total. And those are against 3 really tough opponents, Boston, Houston, and Charlotte, like 3 of the top defenses this season, if not over the last couple of weeks. Spurs obviously up there as well, but a little bit worse as of late. But yeah, the role has just been insane. 6.3 minutes of touch time, 35.3% usage, 12.7 potential assists, 10.3 rebounds, and then also leading the league in drives at 22.3 over those last 3 games. You take away Anthony Davis and all the other guys that they traded away, he's got a very solid per minute production, obviously 1.28 fantasy points per minute, really good for his price tag. I think that in a close game, he's probably playing 36 minutes. But I definitely think that Dallas moving forward will be tanking. So definitely got to keep an eye on that. But all in all, I do like him at 8.7K. I think that the matchup is okay, but I just really, really think that the role is strong for him. I think Gafford has a good chance to sit. I mean, he's been getting he always is a guy that just gets injured mid-game, but especially as of late, he's been picking up a ton of mid-game injuries. I don't know if there's really a need to play him tonight.
He came back in that last one, didn't he?
He did. I don't know if it was at halftime, like he got somebody started over him, but he did come back into the game.
Yeah. He didn't come out at halftime and start, but then he returned to the game after, yeah.
Yeah. But if he's out, then it'll be Dwight Powell and Moussa Cisse getting the center minutes. I mean, give me Moussa Cisse all day. I like him a lot. There's been a couple of games that Gafford has missed this season, obviously, and in the games where Cisse has played 20-plus minutes, which has been 4 times out of 10, he's averaging 29.15 DK points per game. So really, really strong per minute producer when he does get the minutes. And this feels like a better spot for him against Wemby than it does for Dwight Powell. So I definitely have some interest in Cisse if Gafford does get ruled out.
How do you put this game's on an island at 8:30 Eastern? There's only one, Houston, Charlotte, not getting much ownership 30 minutes before. So if we don't have that news by 7:30 Eastern, are you going to manually bump Cisse's projection and force yourself to get some and he's going to be unowned regardless? Or is there too much risk on a slate? Like you mentioned, the Albrick, there's so much value where if Gafford does play, it'd feel pretty bad playing Cisse, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, there's just no way that you can really prepare for that unless you'd have you need to have 3 Dallas guys and not have Wemby because you need Flag, Najee, and Gafford. And then
there's just no value in these late games.
Yeah, it'd be really, really tough to achieve that. So you'd probably have to start with Cisse, whatever, I don't know, 10-50% manually, and then just kind of hope that he gets the minutes.
Yeah, otherwise those teams are pretty much dead.
If we get the news early though, then that'd be nice.
For sure. I think I was gonna say, oh yeah, isn't Caleb Martin one of your favorite players?
God.
Talking about Discord, that inside joke. If you're in Discord, you can see Rio tilting Caleb Martin. He still thinks he's back in the Nevada days with his brother, where he did go on a nice run.
With Miami a few years ago?
No.
Oh, you're talking about Nevada?
Nevada, yeah. Him and his brother when they were taking over in the tournament. I mean, he was fine, I guess, at Miami.
It's just so frustrating seeing Cooper Flag have 49 points, and then this guy is just over here trying to dunk from the free throw line over somebody. Know your role, man.
Oh, that's good. How much do you think you'd pair a Flag and Wemby. Obviously, it makes sense. The closer the game, the more Wemby's minutes gets there. But when you do that, you're probably not playing Jalen Johnson as much. So, any thoughts on like how much you play those two together?
Yeah, I like that pairing. Not sure exactly how much of it is going to consume my portfolio, but I would imagine I'd have a good bit, maybe like 15 lineups with those guys together, something like that, 15, 20, something. I do like that pairing a lot. I think it has a good amount of upside if Dallas can keep it close. Like we know where the fantasy points are coming from.
Yeah. And the last thing, Castle, our man Jordan, the matchup man himself, good matchup for Castle. Yeah, if you do go, again, a new piece of content, fairly new over here, NBA DVP rankings, you can see Castle has one of the best matchups at shooting guard. And I'll just kind of spoil stuff. Anyone really playing Utah has one of the best matchups as well. It's been like that all season long, and you can see the applied points up here, 125 for Atlanta. The next highest on the slate is 119 for the Pistons. Any other final thoughts? Again, the injury news, I think the biggest one is Sexton, and we should get that news at 7:30 Eastern. But yeah, any other final thoughts for you?
No, it's been a fun last few days with the trade deadline stuff. So I've enjoyed doing these shows, kind of line up perfectly Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday doing the show. So it's been fun breaking it down. Viewership has been great. So appreciate everybody tuning in. And yeah, shout out to everybody that had good nights this week. Hopefully we can keep it going tonight.
Absolutely, yeah. And we got golf we're sweating. We got Showdown tomorrow, the next day, and the next day. You got MMA on Saturday. We have NHL. Sheets has been crushing. Sharks has been crushing. Our man Nade's in the streets, of course, helping people out. NFL for the Super Bowl. If you do want to join us, all you do, shipitnation.com. It'll bring you to this screen. Join the nation right here in the bottom left. And then a lot of different options for you. Daily pass for $9 gets you everything but the Discord. Again, I think the better deal, $10 more, 5 days, get Discord, you get SaberSim, you get all of the content up here. And again, a lot of sports going on. You know, you'll want to be with us for the month. Again, there's monthly options depending on what option you want. If you want to build 500 lineups and get SaberSim's projections and ownership as well as ours, starter is the best deal. Core gets you 150 lineups. Obviously, Discord, all the content there. We would love to have you at the nation. Yeah, Olympics is going on as well. So enjoy a lot. Title, when is the due date? That is today is the due date. So yeah, still grinding out, still on the show. Nothing's popped yet, but yeah, any day he can be here. So very excited, of course.
It's going to end up being on Sunday when the Patriots win, and then I'll never be able to forget it.
Yeah, you definitely wouldn't be able to. It could be. I'm hoping not, kind of. I want to get my lineups in and play some tournaments and do all that. Probably still can, but yeah, I appreciate it, everybody. That'll do it for us. Do us a favor, hit that like on the way out. Hit the subscribe. Good luck in all of your contests. Tonight, Matt and Ham will be back tomorrow talking hoops. Me and Big Marley talking fights tonight. Matt Gannon talking some PGA Showdown. Great time of the year. Good luck to your Patriots, Rio. Good luck to everybody out there for Rio. I'm Titletown. Be safe. Good luck. Peace.